going to keep America safer, just like it's going to keep Australia. So you know what? Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. We've had enough. Stop playing the victim.
Okay, may I ask you this?
Your ban got lifted, get over it.
Oh, sure.
A Tasmanian senator sits down on a national television panel. She says Sharia law supporters should be deported. 11 seconds later, the room is at war. She is outnumbered on that sofa and outnumbered in that audience. Her opponent calls Islam the most feminist religion on earth. Watch how that claim holds up under one simple question. This is Jacqui Lambie refusing to be lectured. Let's get straight into it.
Did you say to the advocate in Tasmania that we should follow Donald Trump's example by deporting all Muslims who support Sharia law?
Yep, that's correct. Anybody that supports Sharia law in this country should be deported.
So do you know what Sharia law is?
Yes, but it doesn't have
do you know
rights.
What it is?
Me praying for Sharia law?
Of course, me praying 5 times a day is Sharia.
Okay.
Right? Like basic...
What about the equal rights for women? What about...
That is completely separate from
Islam. So now you can be a Sharia law supporter and be half pregnant at the same time.
What are you talking about? You are talking about stuff you don't know anything about. Like, okay, I'm not going to attack you personally. But my frustration is that people talk about Islam without knowing anything about it. And they're willing to completely negate any of my rights as a human being, as a woman, as a person with agency, simply because they have an idea about what my faith is about. Excuse me, Islam to me is the most feminist religion, right? We got equal rights well before the Europeans. We don't take our husbands' last names because we ain't their property, right? We were given the right to own land. We the fact is, what is culture is separate from what is faith. And the fact that people go around dissing my faith without knowing anything about it and want to chuck me out of a country I have done, and Muslims. The fact is, Jacqui, I agree.
The fact is, we have one law in this country, and it is the Australian law.
In Islam,
it's not Sharia law.
In Islam,
not in this country.
Do you know what
not in my day?
In Sharia, it says you follow the law of the land on which you are on. It says in Islam that you follow the law of the land on which you are on. Don't tell me. You know anything about my religion?
Killed. You tell me that.
Jacqui,
that is not my religion.
Can I just say that shouting at each other is not going to help?
That is true.
Count what just happened there. Lambie asks one direct question. Will you follow Sharia above Australian law? The answer is of course. Then, one breath later, Sharia is just praying 5 times a day. Ask about legal rights for women and it becomes culture, not faith. Ask again, and it becomes you don't know anything about it. 3 different definitions in 90 seconds. Lambie never moved an inch.
Now, let's just go to Donald Trump was mentioned, and obviously he's redefining the rules around immigration in the United States, at least temporarily at this stage. You got caught up in that. Are you still caught up in it as a dual Sudanese-Australian citizen?
So I was born in Sudan. I moved to Brisbane when I was a year and a half. And apparently because I was born in Sudan, I might be a terrorist. I was caught up in that because of the fact that I was born in Sudan. Despite the fact that I grew up in this country, I know no other real culture than Australian, really, because Australian is who I am. And I think the fact is that Donald Trump is changing a whole bunch of things. And the fact that we're normalizing the kind of discussions and the kind of rhetoric that Donald Trump uses frightens me, right? It deeply makes me scared because, Jacqui, you talk about, and I apologize for yelling because that is unbecoming of a lady. You talk about...
Notice how the subject changes. The question was about one law for everyone. The answer is about Donald Trump. Nobody asked whether being born in Sudan makes you a terrorist. Nobody on that sofa said it. But it gets introduced anyway. That version is far easier to argue against. Lambie's actual question is still sitting there unanswered. Watch whether anyone picks it back up.
I have gone around the world talking about how much I love Australia. Just wait, right? And so it hurts me deeply, right, when my elected representatives don't want to have me in this country simply because of my faith or because of where I was born. And I think this kind of rhetoric is what we saw pre-World War II. We saw it in the 30s, the same kind of othering. They are different, they're not like us, they do stuff that we don't accept. I back you 100%. We should look after people that are vulnerable in this country. I will back you to the hilt on that. But that is not mutually exclusive to being generous to those that are coming in.
Okay, now, Jacqui, let's hear from you. Okay. And let me just put this to you. Do you accept that some of the things you say can come across as being quite hateful to others?
To a minority. Well, if that's a minority, but this is for the majority. This is what
I mean,
one of the
girl,
want to feel safe, be safe, and Donald Trump, if he wants to put that and put those on hold for 3 months, he has every right to do so until he can work out exactly what is going on. If that's going to keep America safer, just like it's going to keep Australia. So you know what? Stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. We've had enough. Stop playing the victim.
Okay, may I ask you this?
Your ban got lifted, get over it.
Oh, sure.
All right, enough.
I am so fine right now. Okay.
Right, well, there you go.
So the thing is, Jacqui, is that...
It hasn't hurt you at all.
The thing is, Jacqui, is that national security experts around the world have said that these sort of bans are the things that make countries less safe. It's not me saying it, it's actual experts, right?
They're the same national security people that would drive the people out of the Middle East instead of staying there making sure they've got safe havens.
That is the sharpest moment of the night. Lambie is asked whether she sounds hateful to a minority. She answers for the majority instead, and she does not apologize for it. Then comes the line that stops the room. The reply is simple. Stop playing the victim. Compare the two arguments here. One is about a temporary travel ban and border checks. The other is a comparison to Europe in the 1930s. Only one of those is proportionate.
Guys, I want to just hear from our other panellists. And again...
I hope I didn't incite this sort of cat in the sack number.
No, I don't think so. But Luca, you've been a bit of a voice of reason. What do you say?
Tony, you know, this might be great theatre, and I know that Q&A is as much about the contest of ideas as it is about anything else. But I have a view about democracy, and I don't think I'm alone here. I think democracy is principally about social cohesion. Yes, the contest of ideas is important, but principally we are here to try and find how we can live together better. How do we do democracy better? I think the way we do it today is fraught because we are effectively promoting our differences because we are trying to elect people that are different from each other. They're campaigning to sort of win the vote. That is not the way democracy was originally conceived. Democracy was conceived as an inclusive, collaborative affair. So that is the genius, the original genius of democracy. Random recruitment. And I know most people think, oh, the jury, what do those people know? But with these projects that are being done around the world, in the last 10 years or so in particular, hundreds of citizen juries, here in Australia, dozens, they certainly demonstrate there's a real capacity for everyday people to address complex issues and come up with sensible recommendations to government.
2 minutes of that heat, and the panel's answer is a lecture about social cohesion. The proposal is citizen juries chosen at random. Notice what that proposal avoids. Nobody on a citizen jury has to answer the question Lambie asked. Cohesion is lovely as a word. It is not an answer about which law comes first. Lambie's question survives the detour completely intact.
Thank you, Tony. As the behaviour of flamboyant politicians, both here and overseas, is consuming much of the media airtime, it's easy to forget, and the ruling Conservative Party is drifting further and further to the right, that it's easy to forget that at the last election, the majority of Australians did not vote for a hard-right Conservative social and political agenda. The Liberal Party has traditionally been a broad church where there's been a wide range of views from deeply conservative to progressive. But this shift further and further to the right, isn't this a betrayal of the majority of Australians who did not vote for a hard right?
Now the show changes subject entirely. An audience member asks a question about the Liberal Party. Has it drifted too far right? Hold on to the framing there. The premise is that voters were betrayed by conservatism. Nobody asks whether voters were betrayed by the other direction. A young conservative in this audience will ask the opposite question. Wait for how that one lands.
Okay, I'm going to start with James Patterson on this, and you can reflect on the other conversation.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's true that Liberal Party's drifted to the right. I think we remain a broad church. Yeah, I know that might not be a popular view, but it's the truth. You should come and attend a Liberal Party room meeting sometime. The breadth of views and issues that are raised and the different perspectives are raised are pretty remarkable. And I think that's a really healthy thing. I think it's one of the great strengths of the Liberal Party. And I really appreciate, as a Liberal backbencher, the freedom that we are given to speak out on issues that are important to us, to speak out to our conscience, and even to cross the floor if we feel sufficiently strongly. That's not something that most of our political opponents have. Most other parties have a much tighter party discipline. And so they may show to the public a narrower frame of view, but that doesn't mean they don't have that diversity in their party. It just means they shut it down.
James, is Malcolm Turnbull in any danger at all of losing the middle ground? Because obviously he had the potential to take the middle ground from the Labor Party, the middle ground of the Liberal Party, and possibly even a number of Greens, and occupy the centre of politics. Are you at all concerned that he appears to have moved back, perhaps reflexively, to become more a creature of the party?
No, Tony. In fact, I think the opposite's the case. If the Liberal Party is losing any support, it is on our right flank, not in the centre. All the activity in politics at the moment with Corey Bernardi and One Nation is on many issues to our right of centre. So I think the Liberal Party is and remains a party of the centre-right, which we always have been. We span, classically Liberal to Conservative viewpoints, and I think that's a great, diverse option to provide the Australian people.
That is a lot of words about party room meetings. The question was whether the party abandoned the voters who elected it. The answer is that the meetings are lively. Then the host presses on the middle ground and gets the same shape of reply. No, we have not moved. Everything inside the party is healthy. Meanwhile, the voters keep leaving for One Nation.
Can I just say, first of all, I wanted to respond to something that Yasmin said, and I didn't have a chance, in that you said that it was really hurtful to have elected representatives that don't want you in this country. Can I just say, as an elected representative, that I am so glad that you are in this country, and I think this country would be an even better place if we had more passionate, intelligent, hard-working people like you. So I just want to place that on the record.
But not with the Sharia law. Not with the Sharia law.
And I wasn't trying to fire you back up again, Jacqui.
But it's just, you know what, I welcome them too, but not with Sharia law, and I've made that quite clear.
You have made your point quite clear. And the other thing, of course, the Liberal Party, we're going round and round in circles a little bit, but it's true that Malcolm Turnbull has moved to the right, has been pushed to the right because he doesn't have the power within his own party to stand up for what he believes in and for what moderate Australians believe in. We've seen it time and time again that he's sold out on his own beliefs, and that someone on the far right sticks up their hand, makes some demand, and Malcolm jumps straight away. He has made concessions that Tony Abbott wouldn't make. He's made concessions that John Howard would never make. Malcolm Turnbull has turned out to be totally hollow, to not stand for anything, and it means that people didn't get what they thought that they were voting for.
Even the opposition front bench agrees the leader is hollow. Kate Ellis says Malcolm Turnbull stands for nothing at all. She frames it as a betrayal of moderates. Lambie's version is the mirror image of that. Both of them are describing the same disease from opposite ends. A leader who follows the party rope instead of the electorate. Lambie will say it far more bluntly at the end.
Damien Ferry from the UCP Young Conservatives. Now, this is directed to the panel, but specifically for Senator Patterson. Now, isn't it the case that with Corey Bernardi leaving the party, that basically the Liberals coming out crying disloyalty for him for doing that is a bit of a contradiction, considering all the Liberals that were able to tear down Tony Abbott as Prime Minister and remove him? And also, doesn't it justify him for leaving the party when the party has lost its conservative values and also went further to the left, despite what other people may think, but also this has caused other voters to turn to other parties such as the United Conservative Party and also One Nation?
I understand why some supporters of the Liberal Party feel very sad about what happened with the leadership change. It was a kind of a traumatic event for the Liberal Party, and I understand why some people are still upset about that. But if Cory Bernardi was one of those people, and if that was the reason why he was upset, he had a very good opportunity to leave the Liberal Party, and that was at the last election. He didn't leave the Liberal Party at the last election, which would have been the appropriate time to do it after the leadership change. He went to the election as a Liberal and stood again as a Liberal, and now 7 months later has left the party. I am disappointed that he's done that. I'm someone who counts Cory as a friend, but I'm disappointed that he did that, and I think the right thing for him to do was to stay in the Liberal Party and fight for the things that he cares about in the way that no other political party would allow him to do. We are the party that allows the most intellectual freedom for its backbenchers, and he could have continued to do that inside the Liberal Party.
The young Conservative asks the sharpest political question of the night. You tore down your own Prime Minister. Then you call Cory Bernardi disloyal for walking out. Now watch the answer carefully. It is a timing complaint. He should have left at the election, not 7 months later. That is a scheduling objection, not a defense of the values. The question about Conservative values never actually gets answered.
So, James, it's interesting how much this debate about the Liberal Party is being framed by the party being torn in two directions. We just got that from two separate questions and, indeed, different perspectives on this panel. So the Australian's Paul Kelly's been writing about this in recent days, and he says the Conservative side of Australian politics is now devouring itself, consumed by personal aggrandisement, ideological delusion and populist fervour. Do you even recognise that as a danger, what Kelly is writing about?
I do, and it's in part a global phenomenon. It's not limited to the right of politics. Jeremy Corbyn in the UK and Bernie Sanders in the United States are just as much a powerful example of that happening on the left of politics internationally. And to come back to the point that Kate was mentioning earlier, I feel like Bill Shorten's been left out of this conversation for too long. This is a person who, as a minister in the previous government, was quite moderate on some issues like company tax cuts, which he was in favour of. He's now opposed to that on populist economic grounds. This is a person who, as employment minister, admitted the largest number of 457 visas holders ever in Australian history and is now railing against it. So if anyone is being dragged anywhere, it is Bill Shorten being dragged to the left by the Greens.
The host quotes Paul Kelly on a movement devouring itself. And the reply is, look at the other side. Jeremy Corbyn, Bernie Sanders, Bill Shorten. Every name in that answer belongs to somebody else's party. That is not recognising a danger. That is changing the subject with a longer list. Then the host turns to Jacqui Lambie. She is the only one outside the machine.
Let's get Jacqui Lambie's perspective on this. You're watching this as an outsider.
Yeah, I am. You know
who represents a middle ground? I mean, you identify yourself as representing the grassroots. I think it's fair to say.
A nationalist, they call me. Very patriotic. Love my country. No doubts about that.
Does that include people like me?
What I made it quite clear. It's a Sharia law. I don't want to.
Okay, all right.
Sorry.
Okay, so you know what bothers me? What I find really disheartening is that these people, whether they're on Labor, Liberal or the Greens, you have to follow your party. Whatever happened to put your state and electorate first? Whatever happened to be able to cross you can say you can cross the floor, but that's crap. You never see them do that. Even big George Christensen, the oxygen thief, is out there, I'm going to cross the floor. I'm going to cross the floor. Well, come on, big boy, let's go. Let's do it. Bring on that Royal Commission in Banking and let's see you cross the floor. But you know what? This is what's missing in politics. They have ropes around their neck and they do not put their states and electorate first, and that's why you're missing out. My main objective in Australian politics is to put Tasmania first and fight like hell for it. And that's exactly what you should be doing at all times, not playing noddies.
15 minutes on a national panel, and one question never got a straight answer. Which law comes first in this country? Lambie asked it in the first 30 seconds. She was still asking it at the end. In between, she got a redefinition, a Trump detour and a lecture on social cohesion, and a tour of Liberal Party room meetings. She finished the night saying the thing every one of them avoided. Put your state and electorate first. Stop playing noddies to your leaders. That is why she keeps winning rooms that hate her. Do you think Lambie exposed something real here? Or did the panel have a point about cohesion? Drop your thoughts in the comments.